What is going on? Fredson. I like that game. What's going on, everybody? Freddy was Jason the whole time. Or Jason was Freddy the whole time. You just didn't know it. Jason had everybody fooled. Alright, let me cut that off real quick. So, how is everyone doing tonight? Did I get the chance to use the Chucky voice clips? I did not yet. But timing is of the essence. Oh. Phone volume just completely killed me. As you can see, I'm ready for my second round of Freddy versus Jason. Definitely going to be enjoying it this time, even more so than the last. So you're a little bit more dead than usual, but you're managing. It's sad to hear death. Hopefully things turn around for you. Long live Fredson. Oh man, we're going to give it a little bit of time for everyone to join into the chat. I'm going to try to keep this on for as long as possible. Although I like this kind of Freddy Jason mashup kind of thing going on here. This might be a thing for me. Fredson for life! So you got some updates for me in Messenger. I'll check them out. Hey, what's going on, Devin? Hey, I'm showing my fandom for all things slashing. Which, if I could fit Michael Myers in here somewhere, I probably would. Like, I am completely prepared. Although I now know I have no fingers to hit play with. Like watching the knife or the machete, like with the green screen, like right up through here. Like it's like the green screen is having an effect on it. Fit the Myers mask under the Jason mask. Fuck, I should have did that instead of having the Jason hood on. Putting the Michael Myers mask on, putting the hockey mask over. Fuck. Next time. Alright, looks like we're building up quite a bit. Making sure I got my phone on the right stuff so that way I can see everything. Hey, what's going on, Anthony? That's Jason Machete you got there. That is correct. That is a machete that I have. Hey, what's going on, Alan Carter? Thank you. Ranger, how you doing? Camp Juicy has returned, and I am the head counselor. Don't own this movie yet. Finding a place to want was abysmal. Of course, Ghost Abby makes her way into the chat. All the time. Ghost Abby is back at it again. Oh, I can feel you on that, Gabe. I definitely feel you on that. That's why I don't think I've bought anything on Voodoo in an incredibly long time, let alone anything on Xbox. It's like it's just a weird interface, the way they have it. Now that's a face only a mother can love. I just need a Pamela head to like hold it up in the air. Although I could probably grab a Ghostface or a Michael Myers mask and use that instead. Ghost Abby versus Fredson. Clearly Ghost Abby. Hey, now, Ghost. Hey, Ghost Abby, Death. I am the fusion of the granddaddies of horror. Ghost Abby is just extremely annoying. Captain of Camp Juicy. Did Jason use his machete in Jason Goes to Hell? I don't think he was ever successful in using it. He did have it in the beginning. Who, me be God? I'm just getting started. Oh, I got the other one here too. Arabella the Corgi Gamer. People will break down your door singing Christmas songs. Fuck. It's where you dress like a gremlin and start singing them back. I want to watch Gremlins. It's been a while since I watched Gremlins. Hey, hard boy, how you doing? You haven't missed much, my friend. We're just getting started, giving enough time for everybody to to come to the stream. Yeah, I really wish they got Kane Hodder for this movie too, Alan. It was like sad to kind of hear why they, not even why, it's a fucking mess of why they didn't even use Kane in the first place. And then they just pretty much dumped him on the fucking corner, essentially, and never looked back. And like degraded his performances in the past Friday the 13th movies. Granted, he is the guy that played Jason the most, and his movies in comparison weren't as financially viable than some of the others, or acclaimed by, I guess you can't say critics, because all critics hated Friday the 13th. But I mean, like, he wasn't in, like, what a lot of hardcore fans say is, like, their favorites. I mean, I guess you could say Part 7 is a definitely favorite of a large portion of the group, but not the majority, is what I'm trying to say. They looked at Kane as, like, he was on the tail end of the successful franchise, and eventually just, like, cut loose with him, which he shouldn't have been. Kane, for him to be looked at like that by the makers of this, Kane essentially did with Jason, he gave him like so much personality. You say you heard Robert Englund wants to play Freddy again. Your guys' thoughts? I've been hearing over and over and over again, Horror Boy, about that, where he said he has one more movie in him. Yeah, I can agree with that, Al. He made Jason extremely epic, and gave Jason a vocabulary of movement that made him iconic, even more iconic than he was before. And the fact that he was the head cheerleader, that's like Bruce Campbell begging for a new Evil Dead movie for over 15 years and being the head cheerleader of trying to get an Evil Dead movie made. And when they make Evil Dead, they give you the remake. And they don't have Bruce Campbell in it at all. They just cut him from the movie because they feel like he's too slapstick, or insert any other fucking reason. That is the equivalent of what they did to Kane Hodder. I think it was a collection of multiple things, Ty. It wasn't just Ronnie Yu. I think it was a collection of everything between New Line and Ronnie Yu and everyone. It pretty much collectively screwed Kane Hodder. What does Freddy and Jason have in common? What would that be, Bella? So you hated how they made Jason Frankenstein in this? Yeah, pretty much. They slowed him down dramatically and made him sort of a one-note killer. Like, if he wasn't using the machete, he wasn't really doing much. It didn't look like the classic Jason that everyone should have been afraid of. It was essentially, he was the Incredible Hulk with a machete. And a slow Incredible Hulk with a machete at that. Just breaking shit all over and fucking not really like being the Jason that we know from the past movies. At least you don't need a bald cap. I know. I'm clean up here. say I think the guy was the worst actor to play Jason. He was the worst to be portrayed as Jason. But I can't blame it on the actor because of the direction that the director wanted him to go in. If you gave him maybe a different director, he probably would have been different. Probably a little bit less stiff and more fluent in his movements. Hey, what's going on, I'm about to say Ghoul. Oh, what's going on, Buzz? How you doing? Ghost Abby better get monetized and start getting her money up. That's the only way she's getting pizza like that. Yeah, it's sort of doing a combination of both, Buzz. Like, some call it Fredson, some call it Freddy Voorhees, some call it Jason Kruger. I am all the above. How would I direct an actor to play Jason? I would probably want them to not replicate, but at least build on Richard Brooker's performance. As much as I love Kane, I think Richard Brooker was probably one of my favorite portrayals. I love Kane's design in Part 7, and I love the anger that Kane... Oh, thank you for the follow, Ghost313. But, I like how Richard Brooker played Jason. I mean, I like Ted White, too. Ted White was a pissed-off Jason, but I do like Richard Brooker. Hey, what's going on, Machete? How you doing? Yeah, they tried to highlight a lot of the differences between both of them, Gabe. And they wanted Jason incredibly slowed down to sort of show how fast Freddy was. When you really didn't need to. You just had to give us Freddy from the pool scene from Nightmare 2. Versus a pissed off undead Jason from Friday 7. That's all you really needed to do. That would have been a far better matchup than Frankenstein versus Freddy, who's fighting for his life. I see you subscribe, Bella. Oh, it's your birthday, Machete. Well, fuck. Happy birthday, my friend. Holy shit, Bella. You like going on everything and subscribing? Oh, thank you for sharing the stream, Bella. That's what kids are for. Alright. Well, alright. Let's get into the movie. Assuming everyone has their copy ready. Yeah, I hope we get a rematch too at some point, but it's highly unlikely. At least not in the ways that we know them. The only way we're going to get a Freddy versus Jason again is it's not going to have Robert Englund. It's going to end up being someone else. And they're not going to do Freddy versus Jason until they have a suitable enough actor that they think we have a fucking Freddy that everyone's going to love. But alright, let's get into it. So, for anybody that's joining for the first time, I know some people watching on Facebook that haven't done this in a while. Oh, thank you again, Play, for subscribing. Like, the way this is going to happen, I'm going to give a countdown from 5. And once I hit 1, I'll say play. You'll hit play. I'll hit play. We'll watch the movie together. And because I can't have it on the screen due to copyright issues. So you guys are to have your copies ready. And when we hit play together, when I make mention of anything that's happening on the movie, then ultimately it should make sense to you. Hopefully. And for those that don't have a copy of the movie ready now and just joining the stream, feel free to stick around, chat. I'll talk to you as the movie plays. I'm not just going to be commenting on everything in the movie. I'm going to be talking to you guys too. And ultimately, the way, if you don't have your movie ready, you can always come back when you have it ready and watch it again, because the video will be on the channel. I don't know why I blank like that. Could be because I'm just floating at Camp Juicy. Oh man. Kind of think that the science of The Shining and Dr. Sleep match up pretty well with Friday the 13th, to be honest. Your thoughts? I haven't seen Dr. Sleep the movie yet. I know stuff in the book, but I can't comment on it until I see the movie to know 100% sure what you're talking about, Death. So what's a weak horror franchise in my opinion? I mean, really, Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead's got to be one of the weakest. It had a really good start, a decent enough sequel, and then after that it completely fucking shit all over its own name. If I was to go beyond that, I'd probably say Wishmaster. But alright, let's get going. And get over to the commentary track. There we go. Make sure I can see everybody. And we will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. I still love that intro when I was in the theater watching it. Hearing the Freddy theme and then hearing the Jason sound together. It was such a good start. But I felt like this part was unneeded. There was no reason to add the Freddy origin on this. Like, because anybody that's watching this movie already would know it. Hey, what's going on, Furcan? How you doing? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Oh yeah, I'll probably end up getting a Cloverfield at some point, play. So, I mean, that's supposed to be because I know they said in part two it was the boiler that he was burned alive in, but there it looks like the basement of his house. So that's a huge continuity error there to begin with. Probably you're right, Gabe. The one issue I still have since Freddy's dead was it was supposed to be that Freddy could only attack the Elm Street kids unless he had the help of Kristen, who could bring others into the dream world, who eventually passed her powers to Alice, who used her son Jacob to bring people into the dream world for him to attack and take their souls. But in Freddy's Dead, he no longer has that barrier. And on here, he no longer has that barrier. So I think a better movie would, if they were ever going to keep it with everything within continuity, we need a movie between 5 and 6 that shows why Freddy's able to go into anybody's dreams at any point in time now. Oh no, I can't hear it, Devin. I can hear it in my headphones, but I can't hear it on the any external speakers. Hopefully, it's not loud enough to where I get any kind of strike or anything. I mean, I would assume not. I'm not getting any warnings up on YouTube or anything at all. Oh yeah, Buzz, you know it. Completely and unapologetically so juicy. Whatever, Bella, you ugly. I don't know, but that would have meant because when Kristen was going to die, Freddy was going to kill her in part 4. She knew that if she died, the Dream Warrior powers of bringing others into the dream world would die with her. Freddy would get her soul, but Freddy would also be trapped. That's why she says, "I'm the last." And he's goading her to reach out and touch someone. Or, yeah, like reach out and like grab someone, stuff like that. And she brings in Alice. And I would assume Freddy would have known that she pretty much would have given the powers over. Freddy would have had to know that she can transfer powers to Alice. Are those titties fake? Probably, yeah. The way they were looking. They look fake, but still amazingly juicy. And like here is a continuity issue because if this takes place after Jason goes to hell, why isn't the dagger still in his heart? The dagger was kicked in there. Wouldn't the dagger have to be removed for Jason to come back to life? And Jason was dragged to hell in front of the Voorhees house. Where the fuck is the Voorhees house? Did they knock it down? Although Freddy's makeup on here is really, really, really improved from Freddy's Dead. Like, nobody notices Jason walking down the middle of a street with a fucking machete. Like, nobody sees a 7-foot guy with a machete just walking down the street with a hockey mask on. That could be true, Devin. The whole movie's a continuity error. So what film does this take place after? It's supposed to take place after Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy's Dead. And essentially before Jason X. That's what it's supposed to, that's where the timeline it's supposed to take place. But there's no possible way, if you're dealing within continuity and what actually happens, like, it doesn't make much sense. Maybe they're busy in their houses watching scary movies or something. Probably. I don't know. I would see Springwood, especially around this time, that in Springwood they would probably not really want to show anything horror-wise. Just because even the mere interest in anything horror would probably bring up the memory of Freddy. Or someone who might make a movie that becomes nationwide based on the Springwood slasher murders. That might stir up some stuff. Because, yeah, something like Freddy Krueger, yeah, Springwood could probably hide that. Oh, thank you for the sub, Ghost13. Like, someone like Freddy Krueger in Springwood might be able to have their existence almost erased in that town alone. But someone that infamous, there's no way nationwide that they're hiding all of that without the entire government knowing about Freddy. There's no way possible. So someone would have gotten that information somewhere and eventually made a movie based on Freddy. And that would have been extremely difficult to hide in Springwood. Especially if it was like a famous movie or something. There'd have been something that got out there. There's no possible way they could have hid all of that in the entire world. Like, as infamous, like, you killed 24 children and you find out in the 2000s that the only way to fight against them is to hide his existence. There's no way that information didn't get out. He said, plus Jason could teleport. Yeah, true. We know the Paramount Jason could teleport. We don't know if Jason in the New Line films can. But we are assuming that it's the same Jason from the Paramount films. So we assume he has those same powers. It's like Horrorception, Horror Boy. I mean, it might be, but considering, I believe the timeline, Freddy's dead, if I remember right. It takes place 10 years after the year that it was supposed to come out, which is around 2002, 2003, I think it puts it at. Which means Freddy's Dead happened, canon-wise, maybe a year or two before this film. Jason Goes to Hell, if you follow the yearly continuity, takes place a year or two before this film. Although Adam Marcus has said before that his movie specifically takes place in the year it was released. So you have to take that into account too. So, like, how is it that Freddy, after 2 years, 3 years max, has lost so much energy that he cannot affect anyone? How in the course of 3 years did they repopulate Springwood with children that don't know anything about Freddy? Considering the impact that Freddy had on Springwood in Freddy's Dead. Like, that would have had to have been a massive purge of the people that lived there prior. And then it's like, with Laurie's storyline, it's like, how the fuck is that even a thing? Like, JG, is it possible Tina has The Shining and Jason was brought back because of The Shining or something similar? If all of that was set in the Stephen King universe, because you have to remember, Stephen King's books are set in his own universe. Now, something like Jason can happen, but because Jason isn't a Stephen King creation, it's unlikely. That doesn't mean that there's not a multiverse of horror that Stephen King's characters could intertwine with that at some point. Oh, the bed folding scene, just that's all I got for it. Yeah, there's no way Freddy's Dead exists in this universe. There's no fucking way. Because the timeline doesn't match up at all. That is true, Hardboy. That is true. Like, Scream showed clips of Halloween. Halloween H2O shows clips of Scream too. And then you look at Nightmare on Elm Street, shows a clip of Evil Dead. Evil Dead has the Freddy glove in the shed in Evil Dead 2. There's a couple things like that. Although Scream is interesting because both of them being Scream and Halloween. I was going to say both of them being Wes Craven, but they're not. I'm thinking of Nightmare on Elm Street. Scream being Wes Craven and Nightmare being Wes Craven and fucking Halloween being John Carpenter and all that. I can't turn my brain off watching this, Devin. I am a movie theorist, and I must figure out how the continuity fits. Although this is a shining example of why something like Halloween H2O, like a reboot like that, usually becomes needed. Because when the continuity becomes so disabilitating to the rest of the franchise, you kind of have to pull things back in order to let things move forward, in order to get a much tighter narrative. Exactly, Devin. There's no way you can explain Jason being afraid of water. There's absolutely no fucking way. So this is your third favorite Jason design. I like the Jason design on here. I really do. I just wish they would have used Jason differently. So could Freddy versus Jason have been better? I think it's great. It's a fun movie. It's definitely a fun movie. I think it works better as a standalone that has no continuity to the films previous to it. But could it have been better? Absolutely. It could have been far better if you had actual people behind the movie that paid attention to the continuity. They look like on here, and this is just my opinion, but it kind of feels like in this movie that they worried more about Freddy's continuity than they did Jason's. And they wanted to hit all the typical beats of Freddy. Like the Elm Street kids jump roping, the Elm Street house, Freddy doing his nightmare thing. And they figured, Jason, we'll give him the kill count. We won't give him a montage of his past things. Although they could have recreated that instead of Freddy being burned in the beginning. They could have gave us a different version of what happened to Jason to further make sense of him in this New Line world. But beyond that, I would say they probably should have redid a lot of the kills to match up with what made Friday the 13th so great. Was the kills looked realistic. That was one of the things. There's nothing realistic about a guy whose head pops off. Like Jason cut his head off so quickly that it stayed on his shoulders enough for his son to wake up next to him, tap his dad on the shoulder, and the head to pop off like it's on a spring. Like they turned it into a real slapstick kind of movie when it should have been one of the biggest time like horror movies ever. What would I do if Pac-Man started destroying the world? Once Pac-Man wants to eat, there's no stopping him. Have I been keeping tabs on this Oni-san thing? It's pretty fucked up. I have not. I've heard some bits and pieces, but I don't know the whole story. See, now, you would think Freddy would kind of know that he's weak. And that was part of why Freddy, in part 1, even just scared a lot of the kids before they were ready. It's like he wasn't patient at all with this. It said Jason for part 6 versus the Xenomorph from Alien 1. I mean, if Jason stabs the Xenomorph, the acid itself would destroy his weapon. And if the acid gets on him, it's enough to dissolve his body. So you would probably say Jason would probably win the fight, but the Xenomorph would win the war, ultimately. Because I don't think Jason's walking away from that. I'd be crazy if this did take place after part 6. Because it would be much better if it did. Because then, like, when Jason's in the lake by the pier and everything, and the people pull up in the boat in part 8, or even part 7. Actually, you know what? I would say I would have this kind of take place after part 7. But even then, you run into the same issues, though. Oh man, Death. I feel for you. I hate when it's extremely cold. I like cold weather, but I don't like it when it's just like unbearable. Can rules of The Shining apply to Friday the 13th series too? It could if written that way. Like, I don't think there's much of The Shining that would contradict anything in Friday the 13th. And, like, you can add it. Well, I guess in that sense, Paris, I can't blame him for being impatient. But I mean, was he really in hell though? Because that implies that if no one's dreaming about him, he goes directly to hell. In the sense that I got from it, especially from the beginning, is that Freddy can actually move from the dream world to hell at will. Like, it kind of, in my mind, is why he was able to transform himself into the demon form. Because he was able to go to hell in and out. But he's still able to roam around the dream world. But he was able to go to hell to find Jason. So that also means every time that Jason dies, he goes to hell too. Until he gets brought back. So I hear that Monica Keena is so juicy. She was around this time. I'm not so sure about now. I haven't seen her recently. That's sick, Horror Boy. Make your own video store in your basement. Especially if you like model it after like Blockbuster or something. That's fucking insane. Oh yeah, I don't mind teasing the movies. Like, pretty much, I love, like, when I went to the theaters and watched it, when I walked out of the theater, I was satisfied and I was pumped with the movie. Now that I watch all of the movies together, like Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I start seeing a lot of the issues, especially when it comes to doing, like, Dark Theory episodes, that's where I start realizing, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense with this. How are you able to do this with that? This probably would have been better if you did this as opposed to that. But overall, I still like the movie. I can rewatch it over and over and over. I just kind of wish the acting was a bit better. But I do love Robert Englund as Freddy on this. I like a little bit of Jason on here. I thought they tried to do whatever they could with Jason while still trying to keep him Frankenstein, so to speak. But I mean, overall, like I said, when I was in the theater, I was satisfied. Yeah, maybe we should be on the writing team for these flicks. I wouldn't mind it. Or at least being a consultant for some of the continuity. And you got an itch. If I got an itch on the forehead. There we go. Yeah, Kelly Rowland should have never been casted in this. Her acting is atrocious. And for some reason, he always reminded me of a young John Cusack. even notice that, Gabe. Like, was she smoking on school grounds? Like, back in fucking, what, 2003, 2004? Was that a thing you could do then? I don't remember it. All the Predators from every Predator film versus the Alien Army from Aliens. I'd probably go with the Alien Army. I think the Alien Army is by far more dangerous. Oh no, I love Catherine Isabel though. Catherine Isabel was, still is, like one of my, like, even back to Ginger Snaps. Like, I loved her on there. I loved it when she was on Being Human. Like, I love her in, like, pretty much anything horror that she does. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory, isn't it? Like, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. You know why they sing that? Because that's when he comes for you. Like, no shit, it's in the fucking lyrics. Yes, Bella, Ginger Snaps. The movie, not the song that the Trapper sings about. Oh, Catherine is beyond juicy. How much of the Friday the 13th franchise would you say borrows from Psycho? I think it's the flip side of Psycho. Like, they kind of take the premise and flip it. Especially in the first one. Because when you're looking at Pamela compared to Norman, it is literally the opposite. So I think you can almost credit Psycho as being more of an inspiration for Friday the 13th than Halloween, in my opinion. Now, I said this in the last commentary, but how is it that her nose is still attached? If Freddy did that to her in the dream, and I would assume she felt it, how is it that that didn't happen in the real world? So you hope they don't remake Candyman. The original is a masterpiece. I agree. But I think what they're doing with Candyman is not entirely a remake. I think it's sort of a reboot / continuation. At least from everything I've heard. Hey, what's going on? Lee Plays the Games. How you doing? Welcome to the juiciest stream this side of the internet. Make sure you follow. What are you doing tonight, Lee? So what about Catherine, the girl in Ginger Snaps playing Pamela? I think she'd be phenomenal. But I'm also a huge fan of her. So, I mean, you're talking to someone that's a bit biased on that. Thank you for the follow, my friend. And hope you enjoy all of Camp Juicy. Have to get you a guide. Oh, thank you, Lee. Thank you. Glad you like the outfit. You know, I dress to impress. A pat bit my ass. It gave me ass rabies. My butt was frothing for weeks, like a cappuccino. That is hilariously disgusting, Devin. I love it. So, do you prefer Alien versus Predator or Freddy versus Jason? And why do you prefer it? I prefer Freddy versus Jason because while Freddy versus Jason loosely connects to the continuities of the movies prior, Alien versus Predator doesn't connect at all. There's no way AVP connects to anything, Predator or Alien. At least not to me. So you're dozing, Death, but I can do it. I don't need caffeine. I mean, a little caffeine might help. Give you a little jolt. Get you popping a little bit. So you love this movie, Lee. I mean, I like it. It's not my favorite, but I like it. Because I watch these movies so much and my channel is based around theories of making some of the continuity issues and stuff like that make sense and how I connected the dots on it. There's certain things that bug the hell out of me, especially when a movie blatantly ignores certain things that I get a little tense about. But overall, if I'm just watching this movie, like Devin said, with my brain turned off and just enjoying it like I did when I saw it in the theaters, I fucking love it. But as something that's put with the other Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street films, it's not my favorite, but I like it. It's fine. It's okay. Linderman. I swear, that's what I was saying, Gabe. Like, I feel like Linderman kind of looks like a young John Cusack to me. I don't know why, but I feel like he does. Said read somewhere that they were gonna make Freddy versus Chucky. I heard that a while back too, but I don't think it's gonna happen at this point. Not at least until they either lock down Robert Englund until he dies to play Freddy for the rest of his life, or they get a new Freddy. A Freddy that pretty much the fandom can get behind. I don't think we're going to see another Freddy movie until they actually have that. Alright. I think I'm beginning to overheat a bit. Let me go ahead and take this off real quick. Oh yeah, I brought the nipples back. The nipples are here. Instant demonetization. Why JG got demonetized? Because he rubs the juicy fucking nipples. The juiciest nipples on any fucking platform that you could ever look at nipples on. I'm talking porn sites and everything. Yeah, dude, like that. Fuck it, what the hell is his name? Like, looks like Jay. Whew. Oh, man. Like, kind of dying. There we go. That's a little bit better. Oh, yeah, the nipples. You know it. Like, fucking gutted Trey like a goddamn turkey, man. Oh, man. I'm surprised they didn't use him as almost a doppelganger for Jay and Silent Bob at some point. It seemed like the opportunity would have been there to do that. So what the fuck is happening? Pretty much, I believe the one girl, I forget her name, played by Catherine Isabel. She is now within the dream world, getting ready to encounter Freddy. Yeah, Death, get up! You can do it, my friend! You must do it! Whenever you think you can't, just rub the nipples. Rub the nipples. Rub the nipples and I was gonna say think of the children, but that's it's very nasty. Just rub the nipples and believe in yourself. All right. I almost would have rather Catherine Isabel's character been the final girl. Because I think she was a much better actress than Monica Keena. Freddy from Part 2 versus Pennywise from It Chapter. I would probably give that to Freddy. That Freddy from Part 2 is a monster. See, that's more in line with Freddy's character. Except for the monologue. Like, I would have preferred Freddy be more... more in line with how he was in part 1, where he was like going after Nancy and was just like, you know, gonna get you and stuff like that. It's a good question, Gabe. It's a real good question. Because you would think, like, he would have had to have regenerated all of that. And then it's like, how fast does he regenerate? Because he was skeletal. I don't know why that reminds me so much of Dead by Daylight. It's like fucking looking in the locker. JG Dark is moving to Pornhub with his nipples. I might. If they want to sponsor me, I might. I do like that image with Jason standing behind both of them in the cornfield. Although I felt like they should have never have seen Jason there. Jason should have killed the one guy, and the other guy would have fucking ran, and then that started the killing spree in the cornfield. This just feels like they're like padding the runtime of the movie. Like Freddy pokes his eyes out near the end, but I think they were there when he was coming out of the lake. That's true. That's very true. Which I guess him regenerating, he may take some effort regenerating limbs like fingers, but with his eyes, they're a necessity for him, so he may put more effort into regenerating those. But then it kind of would have to be only for the New Line Jason, because how long did Jason go without an eye from part 4 all the way on after Tommy cut it out with the machete, and it never regrew? Didn't regrow until this one. Although in Jason X, we do know he has both eyes prior to him going Uber. I'll see you in the next one, Lee. You have a good night, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. So you're trying not to fail death. I gotta shake you. Wake up. Wake up. Maybe he uses echolocation after he got his eyes poked out. Maybe. But I could have swore his eyes are there. When he goes into the lake and he sinks down, you see both of his eyes. That new Modern Warfare is so good. I haven't played Modern Warfare in a long, long, long time. This Everclear is kicking my ass. And you see how quick they lit Jason up with that shit. Imagine putting that into your body. It's like essentially drinking fucking lighter fluid. I would have to go with Chucky on that one play. Imagine Chucky being able to possess a fucking predator. Like, imagine that. Did I see your last comment? Okay, guys, whoever has a YouTube channel, why did you decide to start a YouTube channel? I'll tell you my reason. I want money. I mean, you're honest. Reese Witherspoon as Megan. Nah, I wouldn't. I mean, she probably could do it. But I'm not a big fan of Reese, to be completely honest. Exactly, Gabe. Not to mention the axe wound he got in part 3 that was present from part 3 all the way up to part 8. Actually, even Jason Goes to Hell, the axe wound was present. In this one, it's not. The axe wound and the mask isn't even there. Maybe it's a practice thing, Gabe. Maybe it is the more he regenerates, the more that does happen. So you're gonna go to Uganda dressed up as a Scar Predator? Yeah, Jason X did have the axe wound in the mask. And he had the axe wound scar, too. So it's like weird. We go from having it to not having it to having it again, even though this movie came out after Jason X. So they were clearly knowing about the axe wound. So you guess it's just picky? Probably. Yeah, if you look, Gabe, in part 4, Jason has hair too. He doesn't have much of it, but he does have small strands of hair on the back of like right in the back where his head, like in the neck part, to the back of the skull to the neck part. You can see little strands of hair, similar to how Tommy has it. Hey Trevion, how you doing? Hi from Louisiana. How you doing down there? Welcome to the stream. We are currently 49 minutes and 15 seconds into the movie. If you want to pop in Freddy vs. Jason to join us. If not, it's all good. Pretty much hostile. But you kind of figure, like, if you're going to kill people as creative as a lot of the big names of horror, you gotta be, as you would put it, the motherfuckers of invention. Somewhere. I don't regen, I just exist. That's pretty much Ghost Abby's mantra. Where does Jason use the bathroom in Crystal Lake? Well, if you remember part 2, he did have a toilet there. So you never know. Peanuts! Is it around that time, Paris? Wait, I'm not playing Dead by Daylight. We gotta save those war cries for Dead by Daylight. But I'm getting chased. That is true play. Yeah, they do look like brothers. If I remember right, didn't they cut this scene down because he like throws up a bunch of shit too in the deleted scene? Because that's where the snakes come from there. But I do love Freddy in this scene though. I don't know, Buzz. Maybe Jason got blood in his hair and he was like, you know what? This shit's all got to come all. See, that's very reminiscent of like the Freddy that I like. Where they really made him more of the scarier Freddy. Especially there with him laughing. That's fucking... I love that. Like, they should have gave us a few more scenes like that with Freddy, with him being that diabolical. Say, play by DBD a bit more then. You've been slacking. I have been. I have been. Cutting myself down to like one gameplay stream a week. I might start doing maybe two of them when I start doing Texas Chainsaw. I'll try and stretch that out. Yeah, I know. Play. I've seen recreations of it, which is like kind of weird because I mean, was that ever something that was really publicized to the press, to not the press, but to the general public? But then again, I guess like fucking with him being a paramedic, he would kind of know about it, especially being around Crystal Lake. Like, what if Roy was the responding paramedic that took Jason's body after Tommy did what he did? And he saw the axe scar. What if Roy was there at Higgins Haven? Yeah, Trevion, the axe scar is pretty iconic for Jason. Any Friday the 13th fan that's watched all the movies knows that scene in Higgins Haven barn where Chris puts the axe in the Jason's head and he's reaching at her like that. Like, that's where the axe scar comes from. Have I ever heard of Temple of the Dog? I have not. What's that about? Because I can't even say it sounds familiar. I'm drawing a blank on it entirely. That's very true, Gabe. I didn't realize that. How would he know he's the real Jason? Like, even seeing what he could do, even assuming that he's supernatural, how the fuck would he know he's the real Jason? Like, he saw him before. I mean, I've heard that before, play, that he does have it at the end of this movie, but I'm not entirely sure that it's the axe scar or it's lighting from when Freddy cuts the mask with his claws. Because the lighting can simulate sort of that shadow there. So I'm not entirely sure if it's the actual... It could be. I could be wrong. But it'd be weird that you have the axe scar in the mask at the end when throughout the main movie you don't. But I always assumed it was lighting creating a shadow from one of the scars that Freddy makes on the mask. Or scratches, I should say. I could understand that, Hostile. Especially if you watch anything like Wrong Turn. And knowing how those guys were inbred. Pretty much, Gabe. Like, how the fuck do you call it a copycat? I witnessed it. What would make you believe it was a copycat to begin with? Like, just because they say he has a hockey mask on. And wouldn't that have been the perfect time to mention Roy? Very true, horror boy. Very, very true. she was she was quite juicy in her own right. Yeah, the mask in the poster does have the axe cut. But you would have figured, wouldn't all of the kids in Springwood have been given Hypnosil? Just for the, say, fuck of it? Like, wouldn't the parents of Springwood that know about Freddy ultimately do it where they could fucking administer the medicine and it becomes a regulatory thing for the kids? And if Freddy is powerful enough to get into Laurie's mother's dreams and kill her, or torture her, even, why didn't Freddy kill all the adults in Springwood too? Or are they taking Hypnosil? Exactly, Gabe. We're talking since, what, Nightmare 3? And decades later? Like, it's still not FDA approved? Like, no hurry, no hurry. We just got a dream demon that's, like, killing fucking every kid in the immediate vicinity. Take your time. Approve it at your own pace. Like, really? So what happened to the machete wound at the end of part 2 since no other movies reference it? I believe part 7 does. The wound is present on part 7 Jason. You just can't see it because of how the costume is. But there is a picture that does reference it on Jason himself. Fucking Freddy Caterpillar. Probably Horror Boy because the hockey mask is too iconic. And it's kind of like New Line, Paramount, whoever was running any of the movies, they're not going to discard the hockey mask. They're going to force it into every movie just because of how iconic it is. Same thing with the Michael Myers mask. Like, you're likely never going to see a Michael Myers movie without him wearing that white mask. Hypnosil must be one of those important substances that people need that they just overlook. Big damn. Pretty much. You imagine that was the reason why it was never FDA approved? Is because it was like something that was left on like some political voting floor somewhere. That's got to be like one of the more terrible CGI moments. Didn't look like Jason was really trying to hit them at all. Looks like he was intentionally trying to hit the console. I don't know if I'm standing there watching all that shit happen. I'm probably maybe grabbing the gun and fucking running. There's no fucking way I'm standing there long enough for all that shit. Part 8 does have the axe scar play. It has the axe scar. It does have the machete wound to the side of the head, too. The machete wound to the shoulder, I don't think it has. I don't think you can see that. But it does have both of those. Just not as prominent. The axe wound is very prominent, but the machete to the side of the face isn't. It's like Freddy sort of perfected his possession technique ever since dealing with Jesse. That's still irritating to me. Jason can get shot. He just got fucking electrocuted by God knows how many volts. And what puts him down? Tranquilizer. There's no way. Nah, Paris, I haven't seen the new Terminator yet. I hear mixed things. I heard some people say, like you said, like it's garbage. I heard other people like decent enough. So the part 8 end is canon, depending on who you ask. Personally, I don't believe it is. I think it's another hallucination from Rennie, especially with her still being addled with the drugs that she was injected with. But there are other takes that Jason did survive the toxic waste melting. But I mean, wouldn't Freddy know a good portion about Jason before this fight? To know pretty much what he would have to do against him? But then again, I guess a lot of his victims that he, or would-be victims that defeated him, he would have had the same knowledge on, but they still beat him. Oh. Not gonna lie though, the fight I love. It's up until he gets scared of the fucking water. That's where it loses me. But I did like the fight. That's funny as shit, Paris. Not my arm. Then like give him the say splat. Now, how tough is Jason's bones to survive that? Not like smash anything. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Jason have some Dream Warrior type power too, to sort of be able to combat Freddy and get him more on even terms in the dream world. Like when everything turned green, that should have been sort of a turning point for that. And Paris, I think it's more along the lines like when that thing falls on him, when Freddy drops that on top of him, and it looks like it falls over his body completely. I think of like how much of that could have crushed his head, and it should have. But how did it not break anything else on him? He'd probably take the damage. That's fine. But you're talking like his bones are like titanium. But then his fingers get cut off with ease by Freddy's glove, which slicing through bones there. Yeah, exactly. The hockey mask is even damaged. I do like Kid Jason's makeup though. It's just Jason like cowering like that. It kind of rubs me the wrong. I get why he's doing it, and I understand it, and I like it in the narrative sense. But just seeing Jason as a fan, like cowering like that on the ground because water's running around him, is like. And then you show him walking in water. It's like all this time fighting against Jason, all you needed was a running faucet or a shower. So how did Freddy know that Jason went to hell? He did say he searched the bowels of hell. He searched pretty much everywhere and found Jason. He didn't immediately know he was there. He just searched and found him. Like, fuck that. I'd be damned if I'm sleeping next to fucking Jason. Like duct tape. How do you not grab chains or anything else other than duct tape? Knowing as strong as this guy is. I mean, that's a nice nod to part two with the bag. I mean, I've heard that argued before, Paris. The problem with that is there's no real indication that it's as that. In all the nightmare movies, the dream world is depicted as a really fucked up version of the real world. Like Freddy has it where your scenery changes, but you think everything is real. Like nothing really fucks with your mind differently outside of your imagery. Like that's not something that you go into the dream world thinking one thing and like your subconscious like takes like I you say like he's subconsciously scared of the water because he drowned. In all the nightmare films, it's always been pretty much fairly straightforward. Like take the girl from part 3, Taryn. She was a drug addict. So what Freddy did was he put the little track marks with like sucking, like for the syringes. That fucked with her head because she was a recovering drug addict. So in turn with Jason drowning, it would have been to the point that it would have made more sense that Freddy showed Jason himself drowning and fucked with Jason in that sense instead of accidentally having water spray around him and the fear just take over Jason like that. I mean, it could, Paris, it could create a PTSD kind of thing, but they never built up to anything like that. It was essentially Jason got angry because his mother disappeared and he saw Freddy, and it looked like he assumed that Freddy was the perpetrator of the illusion. Which I wouldn't have minded them using that Freddy design throughout the movie. It was sort of like a wasted design because they only use it this time and at the beginning and they never use it again. That would have been cool. Like, if you would have shown, like, Freddy cutting off Jason's mother's head, even having Freddy, having Freddy kill Pamela, and then having it where he's really fucking with Jason as Pamela, and even consoling Jason, and transforming into Freddy and, like, fucking with him like that. It would have been more in that wheelhouse. Oh, you have a good night, Devin. So, I mean, wouldn't this mean that Freddy can go beyond Springwood to begin with? Or is it just because pretty much Laurie was dreaming about him that they could take her anywhere? Like, what if Laurie wakes up and doesn't bring Freddy out with her? Does Freddy go instantly back to Springwood, and if Laurie goes to sleep in Camp Crystal Lake, she never sees him again? That and Welcome to My World, bitch. I love that. I loved it when Freddy said it. I didn't like it when it was said in the remake. Just imagine what he's doing with the glove. Just imagine. I'm fairly certain he wouldn't have bounced off of that like that. Like, he would have probably have stayed impaled. Ooh, the burn, the burn. I love that look on his face when he realizes he's in the real world with Jason. Although I still felt like this should have been a massacre. I remember seeing this scene in the theater with my friend, and just like, he was a big Freddy fan, and seeing that scene, like, yeah, you like that shit now? She's like, shut up. Fight's not over yet. So do I like the theme from Jason Goes to Hell? It's alright. I have nothing really against it. So you still say Krueger won? I mean, with the everything that Freddy did until there was any kind of interference, Freddy did ultimately beat Jason. Jason ultimately survived Freddy, which was like kind of like a cop out between the series, because you know Freddy, if he dies, he's going back to the dream world. So you could have had Freddy beat him in the dream world and Jason win in the real world, and everybody would have been happy because both would have stayed alive. Just see Freddy, the way he moves when he's fighting Jason is like, I gotta keep moving or I am fucking screwed. Like them high kicks. Man, the torpedoes. It just looks hilarious. It's like, Jason actually feeling pain? He looks like it there. fuck did Freddy get up there so quickly, though? That's true, Paris. That's definitely true. Hey, what's going on, Kentucky boy? How you doing? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Watching some Freddy versus Jason. A second time around. Like, with the way Jason's bleeding, though, you would kind of think he's regenerating enough to give him his almost his living form from part 3 and 4. Considering how he started out, like, in a skeletal state. Jason punches like my G.I. Joe figure. See, that... Why would Jason have taken... I said that in the last stream. Why would Jason pull Freddy from being upside down to give him, like, freedom to fight back? That should have not happened. Say, you're good, Kentucky boy? How am I doing? I'm doing great. Watching the movie with all of you guys. Oh, as I kill my microphone. You stand by my statement. Freddy God tier bias. Unless Chucky's involved, Paris. Let's be honest. They all work for Chucky. It's like, what the fuck are you looking at your hand for? I think that would probably have been another reason that probably Kane Hodder, they didn't want him on this. Because Kane Hodder was also very vocal with how he portrayed Jason and certain things that Jason wouldn't do. And a lot of this, like showing the pain the way Jason does on here, I don't think Kane would have took too well. Oh, I do, Paris. I do. Said Jason always wins. In my heart, he does. You know, fuck it. It might not be accurate, but he's the winner to me. Until, like I said, Chucky's involved. And Chucky's possessing everyone, and it's just a fucking plastic mess. Ooh. You gotta give it to Freddy, though. He gets his arm ripped off, and he has the presence of mind to bury the machete in Jason. Only thing is, like, Jason getting stabbed with it, and he's, like, coughing up blood. I didn't think Jason really breathed. But then again, I didn't think tranquilizers would have an effect on him either. But if he needs to breathe... He's like coughing up blood and all that shit. How does he go back under the lake living? He's like the most human undead monster that I've ever seen. A midget dressed up as Chucky. What the fuck? Oh, hell no. Oh, man. You never know, Kentucky boy. There may be a Chucky stream in the future. If I can get that costume, I will be on here as Chucky for a good portion of the movies. Pretty much. Because then he held on to the machete after the fire blew him into the water, swam to the dock, climbed his ass on there with one arm, and was still trying to kill, like, them. Jason's like, I'm done. He doesn't die from that? Fuck it, I'm done. Like fatality. Yeah, Super Freddy would have been a tougher fight. That's for sure. Although it would have been interesting if they did a sequel to this, and because Freddy was pulled into Crystal Lake, pretty much pulled into Crystal Lake by Laurie, and fought Jason and died at Crystal Lake. What if Freddy and Jason both haunted Crystal Lake? And the goal for the sequel was it kind of threw off a balance. And the whole goal of the sequel was to put Freddy back in Springwood. Like, having to go there, retrieve Freddy, have to get him out of the dream world, and keep Freddy alive to get him back in the Springwood. Yeah, because I see what you guys say, like, it looks like the axe mark, but I think that's actually one of the scratches from Freddy. Because you see another one here, too. So I think it's the scratches that Freddy put on the mask. I don't think it was actually intended to be the axe mark. Because they're all the same angle. Alright. I mean, obviously, I was super critical of the movie, but that's only because I love both characters in the series so much. But it's still, like I said, it's a fun movie. Just very cartoonish. But overall, that was Freddy versus Jason. Super Freddy versus Uber Jason. That'd be a fucking insane kind of fight. I'd man, who would I would kind of want to go with Uber Jason. Just, I have no reason to do so other than fandom. Power Glove. Power Glove beats all. Oh, thank you, Buzz. Thank you. Clean up on aisle 9. But I mean, would a rocket launcher really work, though? Really? I mean, you got... Now, if you're going against Super Freddy and Uber Jason, if you hit Uber Jason with a rocket launcher, I don't know if that would work against him since he was able to withstand re-entry to a planet. But even if it did work, his body has the nanobots. So wouldn't they ultimately just put his body back together? Super Freddy is essentially fucking Superman, so to speak. So I don't think a rocket launcher would really work against him either. Oh. Oh, thank you for the follow, Ghosty909. Glad you are enjoying things. I'll check it tonight after the stream, Paris. Then debating whether I want to do a gameplay stream tomorrow or Nightmare Remake. Debating. Because I do want to get my hands on some more Dead by Daylight. Hey, how you doing, Ghosty? Again, I want to thank you for the follow, my friend. If Jason had the Freddy had the power glove, Jason would be nothing. Very true. Very true. The power glove, it's OP. OP as hell. Please nerf. Oh. What are we doing over here? There we go. Okay, now we're good. Nightmare Remake. I was thinking about it. I mean, I might do 2 streams. I constantly say I want to do 2 streams and then I don't. But I might do a gameplay stream early tomorrow. Either early tomorrow or an extra long one Tuesday. Because I do want to get in some Dead by Daylight. If I see Jason driving for Uber, I'll be like, oh, hell no. I'll take the bus. I don't know why that kind of reminds me of Demon Knight. When Jada Pinkett's character does the blood seal on the bus door, on the bus entrance. And the one guy like walks up to it. You know he's a demon. He's looking around like, nah, I'll get the next one. Jason pulls up in the Uber like, nah, I'll get the next one. I'm good. Oh, man. But yeah. That was Freddy versus Jason. I mean, decent enough movie for its time. It did what it was supposed to do. It got people hyped for Freddy versus Jason. It was entertaining. From a continuity standpoint, it wasn't really good, but it did its job. And hey, watching it a second time got you guys to look at these amazing Jason nipples. So yeah, I'd say it's a win-win. Probably Paris. All right, I'm gonna start wrapping up the stream, and want to thank all you guys for following, subbing, everybody that popped into the stream, whether you were here for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or the entire 2-hour plus duration. Thank all you guys. I will be on tomorrow. I do know I'll be on tomorrow around 10 for the Nightmare Remake. If I do an earlier stream of gameplay, then check the community tab on my YouTube. I'll let you know. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Get myself set up to watch some more horror movies because, you know, I can't get enough of the shit. I love it. Okay, well, I'm glad. I'm getting to that point where I don't English. I'm glad you guys had a great time. I hope you guys have a good night. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And you know what's coming. As always, I am JG Dark. And thanks for watching. Stay juicy. Stay very juicy.